this idea of studying more than you need to, more than the bare minimum, that works great in the short term. This is why cramming for tests tends to work. You cram for your test, you do well on your test, but then you forget everything. This is called overstudying, and it doesn't do anything for long-term memory. And so what we're going to do for this course is we're going to study as little as possible, because that ends up being a lot more efficient. But still, we need to do better than 20% with our languages. So let's see how we can boost that a bit. New scenario. We're no longer in Spanish class, but this time, or Italian class, whatever. This time I give you a list of Italian-English word pairs, and I say, OK, this is not a class. This is for money. Now you're paying attention. And I say, I will give you $20 for every word you remember from this list in a week. And there's a list of 50 words, 50 word pairs. Now, I give you this list for 5 minutes. This is not enough time to memorize it. You can memorize a few of these words, but you don't have enough time to memorize the whole list. And then I give you a choice. I say, OK, 5 minutes are up. Stop looking at your list. You can either have that list for 5 more minutes and continue studying, or you can give me back the list. And I will give you a blank sheet of paper and a pencil. And you can write down whatever you remember. And once you do, you give me back that list too. You don't get to look at it for the week. And I will test you in 1 week, and for every word you get, I will give you 20 bucks. The results become kind of interesting, especially when you mess with the timing. And you say, OK, well, I told you it was going to be a week, but I'm actually going to test you in 5 minutes. If you test in 5 minutes, then what you'll find is that the person who read if you read for twice as much time, if you read for those 10 minutes, you will do better, as you expect. But what happens after some time is that everything starts changing. 2 days later, the person who chooses the blank sheet of paper does substantially better. You're talking around 68% versus 55% recall. And 1 week later, this continues to be the case. You're looking at around 58% to 42%, something like that. Testing ends up being the main thing that sticks something into your long-term memory. It is not reading, it is not learning, it is testing. It is attempting to reach back into your memory and be like, what were those words? Gatto. That was it. And every time you catch one of those words, you drill something deeper into your long-term memory. But this starts getting weird. Same scenario. In this case, I'm going to give you 3 options. I'm going to say, OK, you have your word list for 5 minutes. You study. 5 minutes are up. You may either read for 5 more minutes. You already know this is a bad idea. You can take 1 test. You can basically take a blank sheet of paper, write down what you know. Or you can take a blank sheet of paper, write down what you know, then give that sheet of paper back to me. I will give you a new blank sheet of paper. You can write down what you know. And then you give that back to me, and I will give you a 3rd blank sheet of paper. And you can write down what you know and give it back to me. The 2nd test is easy. The 3rd test is stupid. I mean, you've written this down already twice. I mean, this is not, if you know it, you know it. What effect does this have in a week? And what becomes really weird is that this has a huge effect. This is a different test, so the numbers are slightly different. But if you just read this list, this is a test where you would recall around 30% of the information in a week. If you read it and then test yourself, you're recalling something around 40%. And if you read it and then test yourself, the identical test 3 times in a row, you're now at around 55% recall. It's a totally counterintuitive way of looking at memory. This idea that, OK, well, if I'm testing, yeah, I get it. Like, if I'm working, like, OK, that should make it so I remember something better. But the idea that you can take a test where test 2 and test 3 are stupidly easy, where it feels like a waste of time, and for it to have that significant of a result really sort of zeroes in on what is memory. What is it to memorize something? Because we've all been in school and we've been told, OK, memorize this list, memorize all the presidents, memorize the state capitals, memorize whatever. And no one's actually taught us how to memorize. No one's taught us what to do. And there is no real action. Usually what we do is they say, OK, memorize this list. And you go, OK, well, I need to memorize that this guy's name is Santiago, 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 Santiago. And you just repeat it in your head. You just say the word over and over and over again. But repetition is actually not very effective. What's effective is attempting to reach back and being like, OK, what was that guy's name? Santiago. Okay. Let me think about some other things. Okay, what was that guy's name again? Santiago. Every time you reach back and try to catch it again, that's what drills something into your long-term memory.